everybody. It's Monday, May 31st. It's Memorial Day here in the United States, and we're here with another episode of Chatting with Agnes and Cecilia Nonprofit Conversations. I'm one of your hosts, Cecilia Supp. I'm the principal and founder of Road Tulips Nonprofit Consulting and Association Management Services. And I'm here with my friend and colleague, Agnes. I'm going to throw it over to Agnes to say hello and introduce herself.
Thank you, Cecilia. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global audience, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Agnes Amos Coleman. I'm an author and a consultant. Over to you, Cecilia.
Great. Thank you, Agnes. And we're really excited today to have as our guest, Reno Deshane from IAAPA. IAAPA is the Global Association for the Attractions Industry. I'm going to throw it over to Reno to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his organization. Welcome, Reno.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everybody. I am with IAAPA, the Global Association for the Attractions Industry, as Cecilia said. We are a 103-year-old organization focused on facilities ranging from the mom and pop small family entertainment center all the way up to the big theme parks around the world.
That's fantastic. So you represent amusement parks, but also places like zoos and Sea Worlds and organizations like that, right?
We do. We have a very broad constituency covering not only the amusement parks, but zoos and aquariums, water park, family entertainment centers, and oh my gosh, I lost count. There's so many.
It's okay.
But you know, that's great because you represent all of those fun things that association members like to do when they go to conferences, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about it, our purpose in the world is to bring people together, to create memories, and to leave at the end of the day happy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I love that. That's something Agnes and I really love, is bringing people together.
Yeah.
Love it. And you know, speaking of bringing people together, Reno, I'm just with the pandemic and all the ways that it's changed our lives in many, many ways. How has that really affected this industry?
Ooh, man. You know, there's not an industry that's been unscathed through all of it, but there was a point where every one of our members around the world were closed. Their doors were closed and they could not open for business. And I've never personally been in that situation where all of my customers were out of business. So it's affected us dearly. There are some members today that still have not been able to reopen yet because of, you know, all the different regulations and flare-ups and things like that are going on. So it's been dramatic.
Well, and I know it must be challenging for your members, Reno, because there's local rules and restrictions and guidelines as well as state ones. I know here in Maryland where I live, Montgomery County had much stricter guidelines than the actual state. The governor reopened the state and our county said, not yet. So how are you helping your members cope with that?
You know, we really embraced our advocacy initiatives at the federal and the state level, like you said, because there's so many states, there's so many different rules and regulations. We had to get out there and really help the various government entities understand that what we do day in and day out is move people around safely. We can move people through a theme park. We design food and beverage stations, gift shops to make sure that we can minimize the time people spend in a queue for a line, as an example. So we are really good at how to move people around in a big area. And so there's a lot of education with the various government officials to help them understand that, you know, there's a lot of people here, but we know how to do it safely.
Well, and that's a great point to make when you're advocating for your members, especially because you're already moving massive amounts of people around. I mean, I have been to some of the larger amusement parks like Disney World, and there's so many people, and even maybe just going to the zoo sometimes. You know, we have the National Zoo here in the DC area, and they do something called, well, they do like a holiday light exhibit in December, and it's always packed, but yet they keep us moving through. Their rules for the lockdown were actually pretty strict as well. You had to have a timed entry ticket. You had to have a mask. A lot of the houses were closed when we went last fall, so you could be outside. But they, you know, they were able to adapt to that. So, Rena, what are some of the things that your organization has done to help your members get through the lockdown period last year. Some of it was pretty significant and very strict for months and months. So what did you do to help them? Like what sort of services did you provide, or maybe education?
We started, right when this was just starting to come to light and we were learning about it, we really focused on mitigation. Like, how can you avoid this in your facility? And then very quickly that had to change to, okay, you're shut down, now what do you do?
Yes.
And so we have been working internally for quite a period of time on rolling out virtual education, virtual events for our members. And it wasn't because we were planning for COVID by any means. It was, we were trying to diversify how we can reach our members aside from just the face-to-face events. And so with this groundwork we had in place already, we were able to quickly pivot, and we really started pumping out information on, keeping employees motivated. We used it as an opportunity to help our members brush up on professional development skills, as an example. Through one of our e-learning partners, they had opened up their entire course catalog of e-learning to all of their clients free of charge. So we were able to turn that around, and we saw thousands of our members take advantage of thousands of courses over the summer last year, as people were just trying to keep busy, and while their park was shut down, keep their mind engaged and sharp. And they really looked to us to be that vehicle to help them do that, which was great.
Oh, I like that. So I guess my question, Reno, is that what does the future of the industry looks like? I mean, post-COVID. I mean, we're still in COVID. I know there's a lot of mitigation going on, vaccination and all that. What does the future of the industry looks like now?
I think it's bright. I really do.
Okay.
We are seeing signs of it everywhere. Being here in Orlando, I have annual passes to all the theme parks. When I go to Universal, you just see so many people that are dying to get back out and be together and create those memories. So I really feel optimistic about the industry over the next 12 to 18 months for sure. There's that pent-up demand that people have. We've been locked down, and we've been behaving as best as we can over this period of time, and we're ready to get out there and have fun again.
I totally agree. I think that's the feeling. I can sense that energy, to your point. People just want to be out there. They've missed that because we're relational as human beings. And I think that that's what we need, and people are so ready. So I totally agree with that point.
Well, and I think, and I really like the way you frame your members, bringing people together and creating memories, because in a lot of ways, that's what associations do. We bring people together and we create memories. We have a lot of fun when we go to conferences, in addition to all the learning. So that whole thing, and again, connecting it to what associations do, these are the things that we say, we can get you tickets, or we're organizing a day trip or something like that to bring people to. I was able to go to a conference in Australia back in May 2019, and that was one of the things. We went to an animal sanctuary as part of a day trip. And so that would be one of your members, I'm assuming, Reno, and then wine country. So, so it's great. So we're also supporting the local industries there. So Reno, you have a global membership and you have global attractions. So it's, amusement parks and zoos and maybe museums and other places to go. Did you find that people outside the United States had different challenges, or did you find that they were pretty much the same?
They were the same, but they were not the same at the same time. So if you think about how the virus moved around the world, it started in Asia Pacific. And so that was our first focus and energy, was helping our members there. And then as the virus progressed around the world, you saw us kind of chasing it and chasing our members around the world. And so now, the same with the recovery. As people are starting to open, it started in the Asia Pacific region, and it's making its way through the world. Our constituency in the Latin America region is probably the last group that's going to come out of this, just because they're still struggling so hard right now.
So have you seen your members offering things online? Maybe, an example to kind of clarify my question. There's a lot of museums, of course, in the DC area, and places like Hillwood, which is an estate you can go visit. They did a lot of things online. Is that the sort of thing your members were able to do?
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. So our members' imagination and creativity, I was astounded more times than not by the great things our members did. As an example, some of the places over the holidays, they still put up all their Christmas lights, and they open the park up to vehicle traffic. So you could drive through the park and see all the great lights and still do it in a way that's as safe as possible in order to do it. There are facilities that turned their parking lots, because they have huge parking lots, into drive-in movie theaters. So they would play movies, and they would have food trucks come and take care of, the food and beverage needs for the people that were there. So the creativity was amazing. So many facilities did online videos. They did behind the scenes tours. I think it was the Georgia Aquarium that had the penguins that did the tours through the facility, and they would film the penguins walking through, looking at the different exhibits. And it was really needed, right? To give us hope and keep that hope alive that, better days are coming. But it was just a great way to take our mind off of what really was happening as well.
Well, and you mentioned creativity and imagination, and you made me think of that old saying, necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
So I think that it really does, when you're put in a situation where you have to do things differently, you tend to think outside the box, as we like to say. So what are some lessons, we're coming near the end of our episode, Reno, so I want to make sure that we hear some ideas about what do you see that your members did that might be applicable to other organizations?
Great question. A lot of it was no idea is a bad idea. Let's talk about it. And everybody felt empowered to say, well, what if we do this, right? So it's how do you encourage that spark of creativity and create that environment where people feel safe to bring these ideas to the table, no matter how crazy they may sound in a normal time frame. Now we're like, oh, you know what? That's a great idea. Let's do it. So that, I think, creating that safe environment where new ideas can flourish is so important. And you can't be afraid of failure in this time, right? If you don't try it, you'll never know. The craziest idea may turn out to be the best return on your investment, as an example. So research and development is where it's at.
Totally agree.
And we have a few minutes left, so I want to throw it over to Agnes and see if she has any questions or thoughts on this topic.
Thanks, Cecilia, and thanks, Reno. I really, Cecilia and I have talked about this on the show many times, that the pandemic actually has brought out a lot of opportunities. I know we didn't wish for it, but it's brought out a lot of opportunities for organizations to think about how they move forward in the future. And we've talked about organizations that are going to succeed are the ones that are going to open their minds to all possibilities. And it sounds like your members have really done a great job, and you as an association have really engaged them and allowed them to think outside the box, like you've said. And I think that our association community has a lot to learn from this. We are growing as an association. We are strengthening as an association through this. We're showing the strength of character. And I think as the community, we can continue to do better. We can continue to learn from some of the ideas, from some of our guests that come on the show, and just share some of the best practices that they've engaged in. And I really think, to your point, the future is bright. So thank you for coming on our show to share a lot of this perspective. Thank you.
Yes, and I echo that. And unfortunately, believe it or not, we're at the end of our episode. So this is the part where we ask our guests, which today is Reno Deshane of IAAPA, to share a closing thought. What would you like our audience to take away from this conversation? And then if somebody wanted to follow up with you, how could they get in touch?
I really think the future is bright. People have so much hope, so much optimism. We just can't wait to get back out there and resume normal life. So I've got a lot of faith and hope for where we're headed. So I can't wait to see the next 12 months bring.
That's great. That's so inspiring. And I think we all are starting to feel more hopeful. And thank you so much for joining us and sharing all these great examples and ideas. And Rena, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch?
You can find me right on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. And we can go from there.
Great. All right. Well, I want to thank our guest again, Reno Deshane of IAAPA, which is the attractions industry, and also my co-host, Agnes Amos Coleman, for all of her insights. We have to go rogue for now, but we'll be back next week with another episode. If you want to learn more about Rogue Tulips, you can check us out online at roguetulips.com. Drop us a note or send us an RFP if you'd like to work with us. And we also encourage you to check out the 501c League, which is an online community for people in the nonprofit community and the people who love them. The 501c League is a leader in CAE development and professional ethics support. So you can reach them at the501cleague.net. So on behalf of our guest, Reno Deshane, my co-host, Agnes Amos Coleman, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.